Hey beauties, it's me, Sarah Burns, here emerging from 24 hours of no power, water, running water, and boiling snow on my wood stove and being snowed in. And yeah, I just wanted to share this dream that I had because it felt really pressing and important to my work in the world. And I had asked my guides, I had been feeling kind of like stuck and out of alignment with how, like, these offerings I was trying to pull through and I was excited about, but they just weren't landing. And so I just was asking my guides for some kind of guidance to come through. And so I had this dream where I was granted access to this portal that I'd roll it up almost like rolling up a scroll of paper. And then when I'd unroll the scroll, it would be this flat kind of plane that people could jump into. And when you jumped in, it was this just majestic, clear waters that was filled with these manta rays, which are like the angels of the sea, of the ocean. And I remember jumping in. You could breathe under the water and just swimming around, and I could feel the manta rays just moving all around me. And it was really clear that they were the guidance I had later, because I would get out, and then more people from around the universe would like jump in, and I'd have to pull them out of this plane. So that was my role, was like letting people go deep into this healing place and then just pulling them out because they needed a hand out of there. And I remember in the dream too that the guidance I had, this is a bit of a tangent, but I thought was interesting, was that they were telling me that in the water worlds, we can do auric healing. So what they were doing was these manta rays were actually they're almost like charging the water around me, and that water would go into my bloodstream through the pores of my skin and would do this like deep physiological healing through my blood and through my body. And so it was this very like integrated, embodied healing that was happening with these waters. So that was interesting. And there was this other healing I'm not going to get into that I did while I was in the waters. And after it was this big like ripple through the waters. I found this clock, and it was like an old school time clock. And I remember pulling out this like almost like coppery clock and coming out of the waters and standing and holding it and feeling like, oh, I've been chosen by time, and I've been chosen, like this is a talisman for me to have access to time travel. And at first I actually wasn't that excited about it. I'm like, oh gosh, like the responsibility of being able to travel through time, like I don't know if I really want that. And so in the dream there would be people that would try to take this time device from me, and each time it would kind of return to me almost like magnetically, like it was my medicine to carry regardless if I wanted it or not. And maybe you guys can relate to having different gifts in your life. They're like, I don't know if I want to claim this. So why I bring this up is it's been this question in my business, and maybe some of you that have been following me for a long time have kind of been like, yo, Sarah, where are the invisibles? Yo, where's on your website? Why don't you do one-off sessions and do counsel work with your guides? And so for me, I've actually had to like explore my relationship to being a clairvoyant and a seer, and offering guidance and working with my guides in a way that I wanted to feel like it was coming from a greater sense of integrity, instead of kind of feeling like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm like on spot as this like spectacle who connects with the unseen world. And I was feeling that. And I think working with my guides too, it was clear that how they work is so I was just trying describing it to somebody of like, when the invisibles really want to speak through me, it's like having like, I feel all this pressure coming from my back, and it kind of pours into, like almost like if you had like a spirit pushing through your body wanting to come out through my voice. And then my heart will pound, and it's like, you ever have that feeling if you've ever been sitting in a circle and someone says, okay, does anyone want to share anything? And you feel this like pounding, like almost like you can get sweaty. And so it feels like that. It's like that same feeling of this burning share, but it's not me. It's like my guides wanting to interact with something at hand. And so what I realized was that that's when it feels like integrity, like when I feel aligned with creating space for them, when they're like full 100%, like we want to say something right now, but to kind of call on them and like ask them out and pull them out to commune with my clients actually was like, it didn't totally feel right to me. And like they were keen to a point, but I felt like it's this relationship with the unseen world that is really important to realize that, like, well, first what they're showing me is like, Sarah, you have the capacity to hold your clients. You have a lot of access to imagery and profound wisdom that you're getting better and better at articulating and not censoring. And so I decided, I'm like, okay, what is it? How do I honor that I have this ability to connect with people's past and potentially the trajectory of their future, which I've been, after being pregnant with my last son, Falcon, and giving birth, I've actually had a stronger connection to the future than ever. And so it's something that I'm been really nervous of, because I also feel like the future changes and it's flexing. But what I'm noticing more, like just to share what that connection feels like and looks like for me so far, is that I've been noticing that if there is something that is going to occur through this timeline the trajectory of the timeline I'm in, not always, but I'll feel like it's almost like, if I call it like my psychic echolocation, where like if I connect with an idea or if I project myself into something that might happen, to consider it, it's like my psychic echolocation like touches it and almost bounces off of it. Like it feels like there's a dense or a substance that's going to happen in that experience. Where if something isn't going to happen, even if I like really, even if everyone believes it's going to happen, like like there is no way this is not going to happen, like through many logistical streams, it's like if my echolocation goes there, it's like I almost feel like it goes like into this misty like substance. And so I keep having these experiences where I'll find this mist and I'm like, is this not going to happen? But I'm like, but my logic is telling me. And so I'm just learning how to trust in this new fine tuning of this psychic echolocation. I'm super curious for any of you empaths or psychics or people, I mean, we all have that quality, that I've been developing that. If you ever experienced that or have any insight on that, because it's new to me, so anyways, my tangent goes is I have this device, I have this tool, I have this capacity as a seer to have access to memories and experiences throughout the timelines of my clients and people that I want to support. And I am ready to offer that again. And within the context of, I've been calling it, instead of Ask the Invisibles, been calling it, my new thing that they guided me towards was like, Sarah, why don't we call it Clairvoyant Counsel? That feels safe for me. It feels like I can work with clients and have this counsel with my site, and hopefully, and really working with, I realized the part of me that also was feeling like, if any of you are like known as a psychic, it's like there's certain questions that are just not interesting for me to work with, because it's less about I feel like it's easy for people to put that quality of like, tell me now what to do, instead of, and specifically like I'd say specifically in like romance, more in the way of like where and when and who is this person good, like really wanting that like direct feedback. And I think for me as developing this gift is realizing that sometimes I actually have very clear guidance, because that person is their soul, and the relationship with that other soul is like ready to be in conversation, and that feels clear. But sometimes you have to be in the mystery, and I'm getting on a total tangent here. So what, like reeling it back though, is this idea of working with people at crossroads. And so that is this direction that I'm feeling more and more, that's going to pull together all these areas of my business because I've been doing in-person rituals and teaching, like just realizing like it's the crossroads that really excite me. And it's this idea that we all come upon crossroads in our lives, and the decisions that we make are going to affect us and others, and and the planet potentially, and the ripple that we don't even see, because we are constantly creating ripples with the decisions we make in our lives. And so really feeling called right now to support people in those crossroad moments. And maybe that could be a relational crossroad. Maybe that could be a big life path decision. I was feeling into it, and I realized that crossroads actually, in my experience, there's like these 3 different qualities of them. There's this decision to terminate, there's a decision to initiate, and then the third one is a decision to redirect. And so I find like when we have these moments in life where we are at a crossroad, those are 3 different questions that you can start with. So I give you that feedback is, what direction is going to serve the greatest influence of like where your soul's agenda and your life's work want to meet from that decision? I like to think that really in the end of the day, it's like all these decisions we make return to how can you receive and give more love? How can you be of greatest service to yourself, your community, the world, and the planet? That's what brings me joy in my work, is supporting people in that way. But knowing that that can't be like your first reason, like how do I be of service by, firstly it might just be like, how do I make this next decision? And that decision doesn't need to have the burden of feeling like you're going to be this amazing service-based like practitioner because you've gone through the depths of your soul. It doesn't have to be there yet, So there's my little rambling on what's alive for me, and sending you all so much love from the sweet snowy wonderland. They call it the Hawaii of Canada. I don't know about that. All right, so yeah, check out my website, see my new offerings, and I do now have like half price for lower income single parents, BIPOC community, no questions asked, available for these clairvoyant council sessions. And yeah, I'm excited to see who's ready to be supported, if that feels aligned for you. All right, ciao.